Boom. We're live. GM fam, welcome back to another episode of Behind the Avatar. I'm your host Crafter, and today I'm joined by JTV. What up, JTV? How you doing?
Ooh, I am doing very well. Thanks for asking. Good to see you. Welcome to the Sandbox Lounge.
Heck yeah, man. We're doing it, and I'm excited to have you inside of here. For those of you that don't know, we just started today, so you probably don't know. We're going to be recording shows from the Sandbox social hub that we're hanging out in. So I'm gonna I'll drop a link in the chat for you guys. It's a YouTube video, so you'll have to multitask if you want to run through it right now, or you can just be prepared for the next show. But I'm going to drop it in the chat here, and it's going to explain how you can get set up on the Sandbox if you're not already, and where to find us. If you do know how to find the map for the Sandbox, just go to sandbox.game, go to the map tab, and search Fungi, Funguy, and you'll find the Fungi Social Hub, and we're hanging out in the Social Hub. Just got to run up those stairs right in the beginning. It'll take you kind of all the way to the top, and we're hanging out on stage. You'll find us, and if you can't find us, look around until you do. It's a fun little area to explore. But anyways, I am excited to chat with you for a multitude of reasons, but one of the more important ones is I want to learn more about Decentraland, because Decentraland has been one of those metaverse platforms that I found early on in my exploration through this world. Checked it out, thought it was boring. Checked it out again a little bit later. It was a little bit better, but still kind of clunky and boring. And then I just really haven't gone back and looked at it since then. Since today, actually. Today I hopped back in, and I went through. They had like a nice little tutorial now set up to kind of show you the ropes. So I went through that, and that's kind of where I stopped. But it was looking a lot better. And I guess I'm just excited to kind of hear about everything that you've been doing in it and your experience. But before we get into all that, it would be great for you to kind of just introduce yourself to everybody, so that people that are catching the replay or tuning in live, shout out to everyone that's tuning in live. Thank you for being here. I see Hoddle, Mr. Furious. I'm sure there's more people in the chat, but thank you guys for tuning in live. Make sure you stay tuned to the end. There's going to be chances to win some prizes in XP. But where was I? Let's give you a chance to introduce yourself and just give us a little rundown of what you've been up to, and then we'll just kind of dive on into it.
Yeah, sounds good. So I am JTV. First name is Joshua. I started in Bitcoin 2017, and from there really dove mainly into Bitcoin. Heard about it through a game I was playing called RuneScape, and it just made sense for money. So throughout that period, I started listening to a podcast called Off the Chain from Anthony Pompliano. Learned a ton about some really awesome things through there, probably 300 episodes. So tons of crypto education. By 2020, things really escalated and went crazy during that period, and started diving more into other cryptos outside of Bitcoin. And by 2021, I'd heard of the Metaverse, mainly due to Zuckerberg changing Facebook's name to Meta, which drove me to look into Metaverse platforms. And that led me to Decentraland, started streaming Decentraland, gained a good size audience through there. And from that, I started building, making new connections and friends inside of the platform. And we are now working on an MMORPG called Exodus Goodbye World inside of it.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. Definitely want to get into the MMORPG at some point in this conversation, and I'm making a note about it. I don't know how I would forget, but My brain is sporadic, so you never know. Um, so you what did you say 2018 was about whenever you started paying attention to that
Yeah.
podcast?
So I think, the podcast. That's a good question. Maybe mid 2018 or a little later.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty good time to start getting this on your radar. That was, I would say, I feel like I had forgotten about Ethereum and Bitcoin in 2018. I uh, I had like found it at some point. I can't remember the exact timing. Heard about it through friends or something, and bought a little bit of Ethereum, a little bit of Bitcoin, and then, and when I say a little bit, like at that time I was broke as hell, and it was probably like $100 or $200.
Mhm.
And but then just like forgot about it, and then it popped back on my radar back in like 2020 ish, 2021 for sure. Early 2021 was whenever I bought my first NFT. But yeah, so it's been an interesting ride, and I always love to kind of like hear when other people kind of got started, and what like the catalysts were that got them like super interested in the technology. Typically is what keeps people here, it seems, especially especially during markets like this where everyone's not just making easy money, and easy in quotation marks, because it may look
Yeah.
easy from the outside, but there's a lot of ways to mess it up at the same time. So ask me how I know. But that's awesome. You and then you found, so the first metaverse like platform that you found Decentraland, or how did you end up really focusing on Decentraland?
Yeah. Before I answer that, I'm going to go back to something that you
Yeah, yeah.
said about a catalyst. And it's actually really important. I think everybody has their own catalyst in crypto or NFTs. In 2017, or a little earlier than that, I was trying to trade stocks.
Mhm.
And I don't know, Robinhood has changed the whole game for that. But when I was trading stocks back in between 2013 and 2015, I believe it was, there were when you bought a stock and sold it, you could rebuy, but you couldn't sell it again because the transactions hadn't settled. And that was because of the way that securities and currency work through what we'd call the legacy system,
Mhm.
which was extremely annoying to deal with because you would make a trade and then buy it, sell it, whatever. I mean, as a trader, you're trying to sell often or and buy and sell often, but so you have to let it sit for 3 days. And when you're trying to trade a penny stock or something that's moving, you don't want to say, okay, I'm going to wait this out for 3 days because it's jumping around 30% a day.
Right.
And when I heard about Bitcoin, I was like, oh, well, this would solve that problem. Little did I know it wasn't just a currency problem. It was the way that we transact everything in a secure way right now, or back then, and technically right now. But with Bitcoin, I thought that was a solution. So I was like, okay, I'm going
Mhm.
to buy Bitcoin. And I went and did that. And I was like, maybe one day they would adapt to the stock market. And then Robinhood comes along. Well, actually, with Bitcoin, you could trade back and forth all day long as much as you wanted. But when Robinhood came along, they started making it so you can trade stocks back and forth all day long without needing a margin account. Or I think they even have uh, some additional options to where you're not considered a day trader. There is some where I think you need like 25,000 or something to be considered if you trade stocks too much, there's a problem with that. I don't know if it's still an issue, but back then it
Sure.
was.
Gotcha.
But anyways, through that, Robinhood fixed it, but then people were realizing that they were upselling stocks to them. I don't know if you remember that. It was a big deal.
Uh-uh.
Robinhood got sold, so got sued so much money for it, if I remember right. And basically, you were getting like a 1 or 2% price, maybe not quite that high, price change on every stock you bought. So if you bought $100 worth of stock, you were paying an upcharge on that, which I think they've now reverted that, and that's how they were making money to kind of circumvent
Okay.
the mempool of money, so to speak, that are on hold.
Hmm.
which to go, and I'm not going to go too far on this, but this is it. When a transaction goes out, like when you send a bank transfer, it's 3 days, right? There
Yeah.
is a pool of money that at any given time, there's this much money stuck in transactions. And that money can earn interest while it's in there. So it's a profitable option for banks because technically they have collateral and they always have that collateral throughout a period of time or something along the lines of there, which is a very, very big business. But once we got, or skip all that, we're in Decentraland now. What was the question that you had asked about that?
No, no,
After
it's
I
all.
ran through all the
Hey,
random stuff about the
dude.
catalyst of Bitcoin.
No, it's all good. That's how my brain works. So we'll probably both end up doing that multiple times during the show. But I my question about Decentraland was, I guess, how was it the first metaverse that you checked out, or how did you end up deciding that like Decentraland was what you were going to focus on?
So the only three metaverses I believe that you could actually log into back then, if there's any other ones, I'm still not aware right now, was Sandbox, Decentraland, I think Axie Infinity, which in my opinion actually is kind of questionable whether it's a metaverse. I don't think it really fits that description, but maybe others have an opinion on that. So Sandbox, I wasn't a big fan of the pixelation. I've logged into Decentraland Sandbox at a very similar time. I can't tell you which one's first. I think it was Decentraland. It gave a more Minecraft vibe, and I liked the more animated characters and idea that Decentraland offered over the pixelated option. So that's what kind of, I would say that's one of the driving factors of it.
Sure.
And then again, back then you had to spend thousands of dollars to get their pass, and I wasn't sold enough on the Sandbox to do that. And Decentraland didn't really have that barrier of entry, although there was very little to do anyway, so there wasn't much you could pay for. So I would say that's kind of, what made my answer to which one I preferred.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And that actually, I I feel like it's hard to remember, but I feel like that was probably kind of my same experience is that I for sure checked out both the Decentraland and the Sandbox kind of about the same time. And I just, I think I gravitated towards the Decentraland as far as the graphics go, because when I first saw the Sandbox, I was like, "Oh, that's Minecraft, and Minecraft is okay." Like it's like I know that we can do better. And but then like whenever I got into Decentraland, like I was saying in the beginning or before we got on this, I don't remember. But I was saying that there just really wasn't much to do there. And that being said, there really hasn't been that much to do in the Sandbox, to be honest, either, unless you were kind of in the know and paying attention to people that were building and playing their drafts in the drafts gallery of the game maker, which is what I have been doing over the last couple of years to kind of like get a taste of what is actually coming. And now we finally are to the point where people can actually publish onto their land, like where we are right now, is published on a parcel of land in the Sandbox, and it's owned by Touche Studios. Shout out Touche for hooking us up with a little studio inside this social hub. But it took a long time to get here, like way longer than I expected, and I think a lot longer than than a lot of people expected. Um, but at least we're making steps in the right direction and getting things kind of started rolling. We still are unsure about when this marketplace will open up for all the creators that have been creating for so long and are ready to ready to sell all the assets that they've been making. But I don't know. Rumor has it that that'll be ready to go by the end of the year, but we've been hearing end of the year for the last couple of years. So who knows? Who knows? I think hopefully I'm having Sebastian Bourget on the show next week. So hopefully we can get a little more clarity on some things that are going on. Who knows? He probably will be tight-lipped about certain things like that, but we'll see what we can tweeze out
Hmm.
of him. But yeah, I I I feel like it's been interesting, both Decentraland and Sandbox, that they both have kind of seen waves of attention and then waves of nobody gives a f about them. and
Hmm.
and I don't know about Decentraland, but I feel like the Sandbox is still in that wave of no one really cares, because like this is like the news that everyone's been waiting for, that you can finally publish to your land. And it is kind of gated right now. You have to go through like an approval process to publish to your land right now. But it's the first step, and there's still really, like, yes, there's excitement from the core community that's been playing, but other than that, like, I don't really know any of my friends that are outside of the Sandbox don't even know that
Hmm.
this is happening right now in the Sandbox, and they probably own more land than I do. um but they're not doing anything on it. But yeah, so what has been going on in Decentraland? Is there a lot of activity, or is it mostly just builders building and things are just progressing that way?
There's a mixture for sure.
Yeah.
But real quick, excuse me, real quick question about the sandbox. You have to have permission to publish on the land.
Right now you do, yeah.
Oh my
I'm
gosh,
not.
I'd be throwing a fit.
I know. I don't really understand why they're doing it that way either. And it's one thing that I
Wow.
that I'll definitely bring up, because yeah, like everyone has paid for these lands, and now they have to go through. And to be honest, I don't know how rigorous it is to get approved, but it still is some sort of manual like approval process, where the team is basically reviewing things. And I I think it's their, like, looking at it from their perspective, I think it's their way of making sure that the experiences that everyone is playing in the beginning of everything are up to their standards, I guess. But I'm in the same boat as you, that I don't understand why they're doing that, because that's not the whole idea around what they're doing, or it shouldn't be.
Right.
Um, but
I agree.
yeah, yeah. So
Well, that's interesting. It makes me feel a little bit better about Decentraland, but I also am. I mean, I'm fighting them on their publishment process for wearables. And in
mm,
Sandbox, you got to be like, hey, why can't we post on our land yet? It's ours. I thought that's interesting, and it's that has to change. And
what
yeah,
what are you going through with the wearable side of things? Is it similar? Like, it goes through an approval process, or?
yeah, there's a curation process, and it costs $150 for any single item that you want to publish or that you publish in the platform to wear.
Oh
And
wow.
to me, that's content. You want content creators.
Right.
You want a very non-resistant slope for them to come in and start creating content. And in Decentraland, just like TikTok is to videos, Decentraland is to wearables for creators. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and they really need to open the gates up and allow people to come in. But their thing is a quality assurance also, which if someone goes and publishes a bunch of garbage NFTs that nobody cares about, they're not going to buy them, and eventually they're going to stop doing it anyway. And then I think that there's systems you could put in place that would kind of push people toward not trying to not manipulate, but create like a bunch of bad items in the market. But just like YouTube, imagine if YouTube was just like, you can't post your YouTube video because it doesn't meet our standards.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what are you going to do with that? You can't wait for Mr. Beast to come make videos, and the same in Decentraland for NFTs. You just need people to be able to practice and put them out there, find an audience, find people who are interested in them that want to spend money, and that's where it's going to gravitate to. But
Yeah. And that's,
I,
I mean,
I'm trying to convince people of that, and it's not easy.
yeah, and that's I have the same opinion around the land publishing as I do of the marketplace, and why that isn't open yet. And I don't know if it has to do with this curation and making sure that everything's quality, but in my opinion, the market will decide that for for everyone. So the
Right.
marketplace might be flooded with a bunch of assets, but no one's gonna care about the shitty assets. They're
Right.
the
It's like bad posts on Twitter.
yeah.
Okay. If you create the right algorithm, then you get flagged for copyright. You get people who don't post good and aren't consistent or whatever it is. They just don't get attention. And then people who are there every day posting good stuff, people are interested in it, creating a community. Those people are going to come around, and you just have to make sure they're on the top of the list and easy to find. And then you don't
Yeah,
have to worry about all the bad stuff that's
r-
posted at the bottom, and you'll never find it anyway.
right. And that's I don't know. It seems easier said, but who knows what
So
the
I
challenge is.
I agree that it sounds easy. I mean that it may sound easier than it is. Twitter is completely all their open source toward all their Twitter stuff and all their algorithms of how you get
Mm,
stuff. I mean, I'm not saying go in there and copy it, but I guarantee you that you can get a very good fundamental standard of a social leveling system in a sense converted over to publishments in Decentraland rather than just because right now you post one, you're at the top of the page. It's like, okay, good. That guy's at the top of the page and nobody bought it. But there's somebody that posted one 10 days ago that's continuing to sell theirs, and theirs is not on top of the page anymore. So, and
interesting.
that could kind of slashes the person that's creating that people are interested in. But they do have like if people had sales, it's going to show up on a specific. Um, there is a place you can see those. The top of the page is going to be who's published what recently.
Gotcha. So that there is also like a curated page or something like featured or something
Yeah,
along those lines.
right.
Yeah,
And
that's
also for us, we it's an MMO. We need a lot of items. We
mhm.
can't pay. We have 300 items at least. Last I counted, which was a while back. We have 3 items to publish. We can't go spend $150 on 300 items. We don't. We don't
Yeah,
have. We don't have the
that
money to
is
do that, and we need to put it somewhere else.
yeah.
So
Right.
that's where we're right. It's not just okay. So one person pays $150. Okay, cool. But people who need to actually put a lot of content out there, and they want people like posting something every week or as soon as you can have it out, it's very important that they can do that consistently and not just say, okay, $150, $150, $150. Right now, most, I'm not going to say most, people might debate me on this, honestly. Actually, I will say most because I don't believe that it is anything less than most. They're not getting their $150 back on a publishment.
Mhm.
So they're not making money, so they're not going forward. And if you're going negative, how many times you're going to go negative before you're like, okay, I can't do this anymore. And throughout this market, it's hard to continue to go negative because we've been going negative for the past 2 years.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna say is like how are people even making money off of this right now if they have to pay $150? Um, and
The curators are doing good.
sure, sure, that's
Uh,
typical. Um, so you brought this up, and we might as well just kind of dive into it.
okay.
You said that you have a bunch of assets and stuff that you need for your game. What is the game? First off, like what is the game that you guys are working on?
Okay, so it's an MMO. Actually, you can just yeah, see you pulled YouTube up. I worked a very long time on those 43 videos. They're tutorials for the game. Pardon my own thumbnail creation. I'd say the video editing is better than the thumbnail itself, but it was more of someone said you need to answer the questions of the video on the thumbnail. So I was like, okay, that's easy. Let's put something up that states what this is. I mean, as you see, I should have put the word scavenger hunt on the first one there, but it says it in the description. Never mind, or the title. So, anyways, the game is inspired by games like Skyrim, World of Warcraft, and RuneScape. As far as like what you would see in a most appearance of would be inspirations from RuneScape with its whole banking and economic system and the way that you farm resources. But overall, that's not our goal, is to replicate another game, and we haven't. What we're trying to do is create a full game of resource gathering, crafting, creating items, NFTs, economics, the whole everything inside of it. But
Mm-hmm.
overall, Exodus is a game right now that you go in, you can farm several different resources. Those resources are logs, metal, and fish. You can cook the fish. You can carve the logs into wooden objects. You can smelt the ore into bars and then convert the bars into items and create swords and weapons and all kinds of other things. It's still at the beginning stage. We're only a year into this, or a little over a year into it, and we have a long way to go and a lot of cool updates coming, including combats that's coming this weekend, along with pets that'll be our version 1. It's going to be released. But
Nice.
I would say there's a lot of inspirations of RuneScape visually. I think even some YouTube of some of these videos have RuneScape as the game that it thinks that it is, because you can't actually select a game that YouTube doesn't know that's a game. It's very frustrating.
Uh-huh.
So it just guesses. Some of them are Roblox. Some of them are Ready Player One. No, that's the movie. Whatever the other one is with the Oculus, and you're in like this metaverse thing that's really old.
I know what you're talking about, but it's blanking on what the name of it is. But yeah, I know.
Yeah. So it guesses every time, and it just spits out stuff.
That's
But
funny.
overall, this particular is a scavenger hunting where you go around. You can find these square spots around the land. When you farm resources, you can earn scavenger hunt tokens. You can go reset the scavenger hunt. You can earn tokens, or gems and coins that are currency in the game through that process.
And this whole game is live right now. Like people could go play this right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're public beta. I mean, public alpha stage game. We originally were calling it beta. I had the wrong terminology for that. Alpha, from my new understanding of and research, alpha stage of the game, and it's very important that the users understand the stage of the game that you're at, so they can have expectations.
Uh-huh.
For the alpha stage of the game, it's creating the base layer mechanics and how they function, which would be like click a tree, farm a log, or click a fishing spot, earn a fish, or forge a bar and get something. You get the idea.
Yeah.
And then beta, which will be pushing to around October time, and that will be polishing up what we currently have and making the user experience significantly better, which we have some people that have issues with understanding how to craft all their items,
Mm.
and which there's a lot of items you can craft, and it makes sense. And those type of things are going to have to be improved. And when we get into the beta stage, that's what we'll be working on until we can go to something that's outside of beta, which makes me question even if we should ever go out of beta. There's several games that are just going beta and never coming out.
Right.
So
Is what's the crafting system like? Is it the only thing that like popped into my head for some reason was how Minecraft does it, where you like place different items and different arrangements
uh,
and it creates different things, or what is it like for this?
so it depends on what type of crafting you're doing. So it's a workshop skill, and it breaks down into carving, assembling, and crafting. Carving is going to be converting log. Like carving is going to be, you have a knife equipped and you can carve a log into any item that's wooden in the game. And
Mm-hmm.
then different logs provide different items, of course. And then assembling is, if I had a handle and a hatchet head, I'd go to the assembly table and attach them together. You just search through the UI for items that you want to assemble,
Gotcha.
and you find the one that you have. As long as you have the resources in the inventory, it'll pull them out and create the item and your required level for that. And then crafting, it's not currently in the game yet. It's coming very soon, is where you will convert like leathers into armors, like mage and range armors.
Gotcha. That's sweet. Is Are all of the what do you call them? The resources. Are all of the resources NFTs, or like how does the game keep track of how much of things people have, and is there saving? Like this is all like stuff that's
Yeah.
popping in my head because this is all stuff that we run into in the sandbox that currently isn't capable of doing.
I noticed that with the coins when I logged in, try to get them. It didn't save my progress.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
But
there's
yes,
no saving. Very annoying.
yeah. There's a back end database that we do have, we keep up with. They're not currently NFTs. And
Mm,
through the alpha stage, we don't want them to be NFTs yet because we're going to be resetting certain aspects of the games. As you can see right there, there's shards on the screen. Players are going to actually keep those. They're going to be a very valuable item and used in the game.
okay.
All the holiday event items and collaboration items that we have, those are going to convert over to the main game. Um, but the process that we're going to have when we implement it, we still need to make our contract for those items. It's not super simple, and we really need to hash out all the details. But this is the general idea currently: is we make a ERC 721 or ERC 20, whatever token we decide, make the contract for it, and those items, when they're in the game, they're game items, and when they're NFTs, they're out, essentially out of the game, because of the resources it takes to constantly read the chain. It is not reasonable to do that currently. We expect that technology will grow over time. We'll be able to like 100% everything on chain all the time.
Hmm.
But anyways, with the items, because you can earn them like a log, you can earn infinite amounts of them. You can craft them. So we need them to be able to come into the game and come out of the game. So the contract that would be associated with each item will allow for items to be created and also burned. So it needs to be an open-ended, and it won't have like, okay, there's 1,000 logs in the game. That won't happen. It's going to be an open-ended thing that, as long as people are farming logs and bridging them to an on-chain asset, they can do that. But the main reason that someone would even want to put it on-chain is, I mean, there's several reasons. People would decide their own and probably come up with additional ideas. But it's, if you want to go trade on OpenSea and you wanted to not trade within the game, which players can actually do that, they can pull them off and they can go trade somewhere else. Or if they just want them in their wallet for what they may consider more safekeeping than in the game itself, if they were concerned about maybe their database getting compromised, which I don't see that it's not an issue. But if someone was concerned about that, they could then create that trustless system in a sense.
Hmm. Does You said that trading in can happen inside the game, which is awesome. Um, how is that done? Do the players just walk up to each other, or is there like a trading station or something?
Yeah, they walk up to each other. There's a trading icon. You click on the icon, it allows you to trade, and then you click on a person above their head. It'll show a trading symbol, and it'll initiate a trade offer. If the other player accepts it, they can a trade screen will pop up, and they can offer items that they want. And once they've decided on their offer amongst each other, they can both lock the trade and then accept it, and the items just swap between accounts.
That's cool.
It's very
Uh,
cool.
I like that a lot. That's definitely something that I maybe is possible, but I doubt it inside the sandbox right now. But um, which leads me to, now I'm curious. Like, one, are you the one that's developing the game, or I guess what's your role, and do you have a team that you're working with on all of this, or how's that all going?
It's I personally don't code or do that. I lead the team that we do have.
Hmm.
There's a couple, Ben or Ham. We actually call him Ham. He's a big um, big time programmer, I'd like to say.
Sure.
But he's a full stack blockchain dev, and he does a lot of the work in that. And we have a team of about 15 people, I believe. Yeah, 15 people that all do different things between art, program, um, kind of more, even a little bit of communication and idea people that bring ideas to the table and plan them all out.
Nice. That's awesome. That's a pretty solid team. Um, i- i- is how much I don't I'm super unfamiliar now with I messed around a little bit with like building on a land and like placed like a house and some I don't know some trees or something, and that was like the extent that I messed around with the
Uh-huh.
builder. Um, and it sounds like there's also like a bunch of coding that you can do with it. I guess what is the how does the building work?
Yeah,
I guess is the best way to ask it.
right. Well, this is one of the reasons that I had mentioned a while back, which I think initiated this podcast, was that I had mentioned that Decentraland was the most advanced metaverse to date.
Hmm.
And some people probably will find that controversial. But when it comes down to it, they have something called SDK.
Hmm.
And that SDK allows for people to be able to develop in code and push it to the land to be able to function. So whatever's on the screen of your land, you can connect it to a backend server that allows you to make actions and get results back and functionality and collect the user base and know what they've collected and all that. So visually, it's all in Decentraland. The backend stuff is all on our own server. So that's most of like what it does. But it just overall, there's just a lot more customization options.
Hmm.
And I would make a comparison of some other metaverse platforms. They use more of a drag and drop system like Weebly or GoDaddy, and Decentraland has created more of like HTML type of thing that
Mm,
allows you to go in and customize any way that you want your website in a sense to look, except it's more of a 3D environment, and you can pretty much do. I mean, there's barriers, there's things that you run into that you can't overcome yet without further development of the platform, but for the most part, we can customize just about everything as far as a function and a result of that function.
gotcha. That's cool. I didn't realize that. I guess I just kind of assumed it was like a no code system like Sandbox has, and it is. Are you? Well, you're not, but are your programmers, your big brains? Are they coding in a certain I don't know game coding. Like, is there a certain language? Is Unity a language, or is that that's an engine? I know that, but like,
Yeah.
do you code in a specific language for that, or I don't? This is all over my head at this point.
Yes. So there's several aspects of things that need to be programmed. Depends on what you're doing. JavaScript is important in there. Also, we need to know like C++ so you can connect blockchain to what you're doing in the game, which you do have a couple of features that do, like you can mint NFTs through a system we've created and redeem NFTs and things like that. But overall, that's mainly JavaScript and C++. And there's Python. Yeah, Python actually is very important for Python, C++, JavaScript. I'd say
Okay,
those are the main ones. Yeah.
gotcha. That's cool, and I'm sure I could probably watch a YouTube video on on what all goes into coding into an actual game. But I'm assuming that like um a game developer that worked for who knows what, like EA Sports. I don't know why
Mhm.
that was the first thing that popped in my head. But they would be able to transfer that knowledge into Decentraland then, most likely.
They could transfer the knowledge, but the Web3 aspect of it, they probably won't know how to do it
Mm,
because it involves blockchain integration, and most programmers do not completely understand how to do that. And we would consider them full stack blockchain devs. It's
hmm.
very niche profession to have, mainly because it's not used for. I mean, it's used for a whole lot of applications, but It's not like you go get a job somewhere and if you don't have that, then you don't get it.
Right.
It's not even needed on the resume for the most part, yet anyway.
Yet. Yeah. That's cool though. How did you go about finding a team for this? And how did
That's
all this get
crazy.
started? Like,
Yeah, that's really that's where we probably should have started.
yeah, yeah. Well, we're here now.
So one thing is when nobody knows anything and you know just a little bit, because that's all I did know, it attracts a lot of people.
Hmm.
When Decentraland and Metaverse thing blew up, I was in Decentraland. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. It's this massive piece of land. None of the things that you can interact with are really very user friendly. There were some functionalities and games you could play. Something like DG had a big barrier in the way, and I wasn't going to spend thousands of dollars to make that work. So I started streaming, and I just told people in the most popular place, it's like, I'm streaming. If you need help, come ask, and I'll try to help you. And it was just like a learning process together, which it did help because I understood a lot of key aspects of wallets, connecting them,
Hmm.
creating them, which honestly isn't really a big deal. But for those who don't know, it's really amazing at first. So
Yeah, and
we
that's a big
started.
hurdle for them to jump if they don't know what they're doing.
That's
It,
right, and
it's a
that's where
big
they
barrier to
were.
entry. Yeah.
Right, and they got in, but they just needed a little bit more information. And then from there, I started giving away NFTs and I made publishments, which is the biggest thing I'd ever done in there. And it probably attracted some of them, the largest group that kind of like made that pushed it, the catalyst for this. I published 6 Santa hats that people could wear. It was around Christmas time. And it was a big deal because people had to spend 500 mana at the time to publish an NFT. And at that time, mana was ranging, depending on which part of November, December you're in, between $2 and $5. So 500 mana at two is $2,000. Okay,
Hmm.
and two and five, yeah. So no, that's $1,000. So, anyways, and then I think I ended up paying like 3 or 350 for the man on that. So I spent, what's that, like 6 grand, seven, whatever, on 6 publishments, and no one really bought them. So I was like,
Hmm.
okay, I'm losing money here. Terrible
Yeah.
idea. So I was like, I'm not going to be the only person that gets to hold these. So I started giving them away, and massive giveaways. And from there, people started coming. A friend of mine, the full stack blockchain dev that's here, we've been friends for about 10 years now. He created a bot for me to give away NFTs. And over or since late 2021, I've given away about 80,000 wearables in the game. That's not publishments. That's because you can make a publishment of 1,000 or 5,000, 10,000 items. That's just items in general, and gave away 80,000. So that attracts a lot of people. And
Yeah.
from there, I met a lot of new friends. And eventually on stream one day, if I go back and find the stream, because there's hundreds of them, it was a lot of fun back then. I really can't wait for that to happen again. We started making an idea of like, hey, let's make a game in here because there's nothing to do. So we were like, okay, what do we need? And then everybody starts telling me what their skills are. It's a chat, there's hundreds of people in there. They want to be a part of it too. It's exciting. So, this one's a designer. This one does a little programming. This one knows a little, just a bunch of skills. And they're like, hey, I want to do it. So we slowly started hopping in and we created our own dev Discord and we started throwing ideas to get this executed. And it kind of just started rolling downhill from there. I would say it was a snowball effect. And it was a huge jump start. And if we didn't have that jump start, I don't think it would be where it is today, or even even a reality today. But we've had probably 25 different people that have joined and come and gone. Some did a bit of work, some didn't, and from there we're continuing on.
Hmm. That, I mean, that sounds like a story that I've heard multiple times on this show where basically you were early enough to start messing around with some new thing that no one knew what it was going to be, and then ideas started rolling, and those ideas started turning into something that was actually real. And then
Yeah.
before you know it, you have a full-fledged project on your hand that you're working on 24/7, and it's awesome. It's cool to see that happen, and it's crazy. But I guess that's how things do kind of play out whenever you are this early to something um,
Right.
kind of.
Yeah. And one thing, someone in my channel just asked about scavenger hunting, which there's scavenger hunting in the game that I told you about. You earn gems and coins, right?
Hmm.
We initially started off to make sure we were even capable of creating something by creating a scavenger hunt. And for these things, you would find the Santa hats, or you would find for Easter, we did Easter eggs. And we had a headquarters, we called the JTV headquarters. And we had scavenger hunts in there, and people would earn wearables. And they had a leaderboard where people could see who could run and find the eggs or whatever the item was the fastest. And some people became extremely impressive. Like there were some things I couldn't do in under like 45 seconds, and people figured out how to do it in 7 seconds. And people played it a lot. But it was that was a really exciting time. It was something that people could repeat over and over again. It's a game loop. It's you start the hunt, you find them, you get a leaderboard, you get points, you get a reward for it. And that's honestly that's what every game needs. It needs to be fun,
Hmm.
and you need to be able to do it over and over again. If you can't do it over and over again, it's like a story mode, which it doesn't have to be, but some story modes are good. But when you're done, you're done. And for online games, it's not really the best option because you need to continuously make content that people can play over and over again to continue building your game.
Yeah, I mean that's so true. But having that core fun loop that people want to come back and do over and over again is a very crucial part
Yes.
of building a game, and also like having the capability to track it is nice. So in Decentraland there is like a way to like track like a leaderboard system or something along those lines.
Yeah, they have a leaderboard that you can put up. Actually, I don't even think you need a backend for that technically. Not on like our own server. I think you can. That's a good question. I'm not entirely sure if you need your backend server or not. So forget what I said. But yeah, it's full capable inside of Decentraland. Many games that are in there have some type of leaderboard.
That's nice because that's one thing that I've ran into, and we'll see at the end of this stream whenever I tell people the game that they're going to have to play to potentially earn some of these NFTs that we're going to be giving away. But um, it's the tracking of it is so annoying. Like basically like the best solution that we've figured out through just kind of figuring out how other creators have been doing giveaways and stuff in inside the sandbox is that you have to have everyone record their screen, uh, which already is one hurdle that people have to jump over, and then because they had to record their screen, then we have to have them submit a YouTube link that so
Mhm.
then they have to go and upload that video somewhere, and they can do it unlisted or whatever. But like there's just like so many hurdles to figuring out people's scores, and it's annoying, and I can't wait until we get to a point where there's some easy way to know what people's scores are and they're verified, because like we've done, well, I haven't, but I know people that have done like the screenshot method where you would just screenshot your score, but then like that's pretty easy to Photoshop and change if you're a wizard in Photoshop. So then people complain about that. And like it's just like a never ending cycle of like trying to figure out how to combat people that are gonna abuse the system, and but make it like as easy and seamless for people to participate in. So that's one thing that I'm still trying to figure out. And so you'll see at the end here, like and I kind of just walk through it, but you do have to record your screen, and you have to go upload that to YouTube and include that in the form that you're going to have to fill out. And it's just, instead of having just a leaderboard that displays everyone's scores, which would be so nice, then I could just go check the leaderboard and say, okay, this is where you guys fell. All I would have to know is if you participated, and then I can go find you on the leaderboard and see where your rank is or whatever. So yeah,
Right.
it's
Well, one thing that's about Decentraland that I think has helped with those aspects of the platform is they have a DAO, and through that DAO they fund projects, and some of those projects are open source. And I think many, maybe not the full project should be open source, but some aspects of it I think could be. And people have created the open source code for something like a leaderboard, where I can just go in and use that and apply it to my land through the SDK, which still requires some expertise in that field, but you don't need to understand how to completely code it to use it.
Yeah,
And,
that is.
and they've made a lot of features through that, and they have a repository that we can go look through for it.
That's super nice. So that was kind of where my head was going. So I'm kind of glad you went there. Is what would people have to do? Because I know I have a large sandbox audience. What would people that are interested in learning how to build inside of Decentraland, like, where would you point them as like a place to start? And I don't know, like, is there good resources for that Decentraland has, or is it you, or is it like watch your
definitely not me.
streams,
It's definitely not
or
me.
so?
So they do have lots of documentation. If someone is really interested, because this is what we had to do, read through all the documentation and also learn on top of the documentation how to work everything, which does require some programming knowledge to be able to read, understand, and also build on top of that information. Do you want some documents on that? So let's see. Yeah, if you go to docs, you have for content creators. I guess we can call it. That's what they would probably have it under. Yeah, let's go to that and see. So we have, if you look at all the left side, those are going to be documentation. If you want to publish a wearable, what the specifications are, emotes, tutorials. So their awesome repository is open source options. You'll probably find like trading and stuff in there. If you scroll up, you should be able to see. Is that the right page? Yeah. So let's see. Hold on right there. So a collection of tools of common UI. Click on the UI toolkit. Let's see what that has in it. So, like I said, you need to be able to look a little more in this. It's not just pictures and exciting, funny stuff.
Right.
You need to go in and be able to just go through the README and learn more about it. But they do have something that does actually have images in their awesome repository. I think it's mainly with SDK 6. They just launched the SDK 7, and they have a lot to do there. But under the scenes of the SDK 7, there's tons of information under there that people can read and learn about. I wouldn't say that it's not like a YouTube tutorial that tells you exactly 100% how to do it with being brainless. It's more like you can read like let's say you're in school, it's a math test, not a test, but you get to read the chapter, and then you get to, not math, but whatever you have to do in math. It's been so long since been in school. But anyways, you get to read, and you have all the descriptions of what you need to do and learn about, and then you go figure out how to do that. That's more about what it is. So there is a learning curve around that. If you don't have much programming knowledge, it's going to be a really big headache to work with it.
That makes sense. So as far as like building out a game inside of Decentraland, if you don't have coding knowledge or some programmers on your team, you're probably not going to be able to build a game, or would you be able to build like basic games, but anything beyond that gets difficult? Or how does the builder work?
So they have a builder where you can just like come in and drag and drop stuff.
Hmm.
There's no really functionality to that builder. So to make a, you can make like parkour. You can like level
Okay.
things out that move back and forth, or whichever way, and you can make people jump throughout it. But overall, you definitely need someone to be able to program it for
Like
it to function.
there's no like way to add like actual logic or anything
Right.
to the scene.
And I think that that could, over time, there could be a solution to that. And for like drag and drop things, I think
Hmm.
that if there was a group of people, maybe funded by the DAO, that completely open sourced a project that made very key mechanics for a specific, or not specific, but a broad gameplay. So, like if you could shoot something and it would hit a target, you could change the file out of that target to anything you want. And honestly, I can do that. You don't really need any program knowledge. You just need to figure out how to upload a GLB that you want to put in there. So, anyways, if you want to make a target move back and forth, and then you could shoot that target, or if you can make it run in any, maybe they're working with AI stuff right now. So if they can make it run into
I saw that.
with like AI related stuff, they can make the target move based on your responses in the game. I think something like that could make it so you can make a million different type of shooter games, but the ones that are going to get the most attention are going to be the customized games where the creators can kind of mold the game idea and everything that the players want to them so that they get everything they want. But overall, if you could build, you know, 50 additional experiences with, some basic features that could excite people to come like brainlessly or mindlessly play, I think that would be very beneficial. And it's not that it's, I mean, I shouldn't have said brain dead or mindless. It's just you kind of get on your phone and you want to do something. It's not that you just want to do something. You're not trying
Right.
to educate yourself on anything right there. Or it's not like a long term strategy game that you're trying to play out over time. Just something that you can occupy that particular time with. And I think that would potentially bring quite a bit of people.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. I think it's interesting, like coming from, which I mean, now like looking back at it, it makes sense why I ended up leaning towards, well, this wasn't the reason, but it's probably a good reason that I started leaning towards the sandbox, was the how easy it actually is to develop these games and add a bunch of logic. Like
Hmm.
there's wizards out there that can do way crazier things than I can figure out how to do with this no code logic system. But it like now, like hearing the differences between the two, it doesn't seem like, and it's kind of unfortunate, but it doesn't seem like the experienced and well versed game developers from the sandbox could easily go over to Decentraland and kind of replicate or do similar things over there, because most developers that I've met in the sandbox don't really have any programming background, or at least not like game programming.
Hmm.
So that's interesting, and I guess hopefully maybe there will be some solutions in the future that add at least a layer of no code. And I'm sure it goes vice versa. I'm sure that there's lots of people that would love to see some sort of ability to add code into the
Hmm.
sandbox as well. I would imagine there's that side of people too. So I wonder if either is really focused on the other side of the coin.
Right.
Uh,
I think that they both have great ideas. If you add enough functionality options, you can potentially make an infinite amount of solutions for those options. It's just a matter of it's a multiplication. So if you add if you add five different features, you can combine those five features in different ways to make a different experience based on however you're making it. So I Decentraland's focused on customization. Sandbox is focused on let's get builders in here that can make something fun and they can kind of grow their audience through it, which is really important. But I still think it's a good product. I mean, Weebly and GoDaddy are definitely good products. So
Right.
I'm
Right.
not knocking any of them. And Sandbox's own game, Decentraland, is. I honestly don't even think they're really competing with each other. They're completely different platforms.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, what do you want people to drag and drop, or do you want them to customize the whole thing? And I think the answer to that is honestly both. Where you can customize your HTML and put it in Weebly and have your site do
Right.
that, which they've added both options. And that's what I think most platforms need. And for Sandbox, I would love to add our game to Sandbox. Well, the people that let us use their land actually asked us, they're like, do you want to do this in Sandbox too? We have land. I was like, I'd love to, but I don't think they offer the tools we need. And we need to focus on Decentraland for this right now. But if they added an SDK where we could, uh, what would you call it? Translate our current code base and logic and everything into Sandbox. I'd love to have them in both platforms. I want to be able to do it in the 8 metaverse. I want to do it to any metaverse out there that would allow us to, honestly. And I think that people should be able to have their own experiences in each one. And what we would do is we would, for each file and like visual, we'd have to change all the designs to fit that, which Sandbox probably wouldn't be as difficult to go back to because we already like created the what the characters look like. All we'd have to do is pixelate that character, which is downgrading it to make it so it fits that particular game style. And we could definitely do that. I think the more the better. But then, there's also a middle point of you don't want to have too many where you can't hold off to it. Hold on to, continue with updates across everything. You don't want to have two
Right.
different games. So it's important that they would all kind of run parallel to each other.
I mean, that's true. But I do think that it would make sense to kind of disperse into as many as are possible right now, just to broaden the user base. I do think, from what I've heard and what I've researched, that you'll probably have a quicker. Well, I don't know about quicker. I don't know when this is actually coming as far as the other side goes, but they are definitely planning on having an SDK for the other side, and also an ODK. And I don't know if that's their lingo or if that's lingo in the in the programming world. But from my understanding, the other side is basically developing like a drag and drop, plug and play style tool, and also for allowing for people to do code and bring that in. Have you heard of, it's called I'm blanking now, MML? I think
Mm-hmm.
is I think it's like a language, or this is where it starts to go over my head whenever we get into this kind of stuff. But there's I think MML is like they're trying to like basically standardize a coding language for the metaverse. If
Mm-hmm.
I might be butchering it, but I think that's my understanding of it anyways. So
Right.
I'd be curious if you guys would be able to like leverage that. Have you played around with that at all?
With ODK or
The like MML stuff.
the not that I'm really aware of. I don't
Yeah,
think.
I
But as far as ODK, I actually just looked it up. Open source. It's for Android. It's for mobile devices to make it function on those platforms. So yeah, I think that's ODK sounds very important, and I
okay.
think
Okay.
Decentraland wants to do that. I know that the founder has been talking about uh, mobile options, and if ODK in the context you're talking about is about mobile devices, that's really big for these platforms. You got to have it in your pocket
Mhm.
or may or may not be on your face one day.
That's true. Yeah, it probably will, but who knows when we'll get to that point. But mobile for sure. Like I feel like if you're not trying to figure out some way to get the mobile market, you're not playing the game correctly as
Yeah,
a
you definitely got to get it.
as a platform, because
It's
that's
the biggest platform for games out there.
yeah.
It's the highest revenue by far.
I didn't realize for the longest time that, like, I knew that kids, younger generations were obviously playing a bunch of games, playing Roblox and Minecraft a bunch, and but I didn't realize that most of them were playing it on tablets, like that. Whenever I
And
first
Switch.
yeah, and Switch, and like whenever I first realized that the tablet side of things, I was like, okay, well, I guess that makes sense, but I don't think I've ever played a game on a tablet. So like
Give me a
that can
mouse and keyboard or a
yeah,
controller.
yeah, exactly. But I mean, I guess that's the way that technology has gone. And what is it, the swipe generation, I think, is what they're what they're
Yeah,
calling
hey,
the
you can tell the difference by the people who say scroll versus swipe.
that's
Because
valid.
I guarantee you say it. I know I say it all the time. We scroll through our phones.
Yeah,
We'll scroll
scrolling.
nothing. We swipe. But yeah, there's a lot of people like my kids say swipe. They don't say scroll.
Yeah, and yeah, somebody in the chat was saying my nephews play more on tablet than Xbox or PC, which that blows my mind. Like I can't,
Hmm.
like I would, in my head, I would always want to be playing on an Xbox or some sort of console, or the PC. I was always a console gamer, but I've been converted to PC now, which I
Hmm.
am glad of. But but yeah, I just
If you can't put an Ethernet cable into it, I'm not playing because I like to play more fast-paced games, and I don't want anything lagging.
yeah,
I,
yeah.
I when I'm playing, I'm running like 7 ping on my on mine. I've got fiber optics. I got a decent computer that runs it, and servers are in. I'm in Louisiana, so I got servers in Austin, some are in New Orleans, and I think like Atlanta or something. So everything on this side is generally pretty close for central servers.
Which is more important than I ever knew. Until
Very important.
yeah, yeah,
You get shot and you yeah, I mean just imagine people who are playing on like servers that are all, like together. I mean like what do you call it? It's a confined server where they're not running to the internet to use it. I think they did that for the World Cup of Fortnite, if I'm not wrong. I think that all 100 of those computers were connected to Fortnite and its own local server. Um,
oh, that would make sense.
Yeah, I believe it was. Don't quote me on that, but it's just when you get all those people inside of the game and the way that they were, there's so much you could see it. I don't, it's years ago, but I just remember the lag, and I was just like, how do you have 80 people in this tiny circle and they're all on top of each other? In Decentraland, you put 80 people on top of each other, your client will crash.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah. Which that's one thing that I really have been impressed by, with the other side, which we haven't talked a whole lot about, but the tests that they've done with the amount of people and the the voice chat capabilities, like that kind of blows my mind that that was all possible and nothing was
mhm.
crashing or anything for people. Like that's pretty impressive what they're developing over there. Um,
Yeah. It
that
is. I can't wait for them to have it. And I might be wrong about Decentraland Crash with 80 people, but I think they only let you 100 on one server anyway. So technically, you couldn't have more than 100 on top of you.
well, that's I mean that's still
So,
a lot of people. I
oh
mean,
yeah, yeah.
Sandbox is, I think the last like alpha they were limiting it to like 40,
Hmm.
and now I heard rumors that they're actually going to scale it back to like 20 or something,
Wow.
while they're trying to, because they're like updating how multiplayer works, I guess. So
Hmm.
they suppose that they need to scale it back before they can ramp it back up, which I don't know, probably makes sense. But it's just like, I don't know. It seems like that is
Hmm.
something that really needs to change. Like that, to only be able to play with 20 people on a map.
Yeah, it does really, especially with a social platform.
Hmm.
20 is no good. I mean, I kind of think 100 is not enough too, especially if someone wanted to that has more than 100 people that want to be in the same place, which 100 on the internet, it's really not that much.
No, not at all. Like I always think for some reason my mind always goes to concerts because I feel like that's such um, an easy direction that the metaverse will naturally go is like hosting concerts inside of different metaverse platforms and like I don't know
Mhm.
to just like Taylor Swift. I just saw somebody
100,
buy
100
Taylor
people.
Swift concerts. Like if there could only be 100 in one instance, like there would have to be so many instances going on. Like like I don't
Yeah, what she fills a stand of 100,000 people.
yeah
So I mean, you need 1,000
at,
servers.
at least plus
Yeah,
like
that right. They don't have no metaverse platform has that available right now.
no
The other side metaverse, that's Bored Apes, right? And
yep
do the Bored Apes back that?
they are yes so
Okay.
they're working with Improbable. I want to say, yeah, Improbable is the company that's like building like the infrastructure or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, they're basically, I think they're funding it
Hmm.
slash I think like Animoca is behind a bunch of it too. I'm sure um, they have their fingers in everything. Um,
Yeah,
but
it's good. The land on here, is it bigger than that little square spot that you get? I saw some videos I haven't played, and I was just like, "That's not much."
Yeah, so that's actually something that I've just realized recently is the size of the land depends on the tier of the land, and
Hmm.
you can tell a tier. I think it's the stars at the very top of each of the different deeds or whatever. But the like a 5 star plot of land is equal to 2.4 square kilometers, I think is what I heard somebody say. And then so that's the biggest, and then it scales down from that
Gotcha.
as you go lower in tiers, and that's about all I know. So,
Yeah. I mean,
but
2.4 kilometers, that's all right. One thing that we're running into an issue with that actually Decentraland solving is land space for an MMO. If you think about an MMO, it needs to be a lot of land. You need to be
yeah,
able, yeah, you got to have a ton. But what Decentraland's implementing, which is to me, it's awesome. They're allowing people to buy a .dcl name, and you can claim a world through them. You can have, I don't know how many parcels it is, but up to 100 megabytes of data, which isn't a whole lot for a game. It's not something that ours is significantly bigger than that. But for people that can program, they can actually spin up their own server, and with a name, they can have a world, and they could actually go to the full expansion of Decentraland and have 90,000 parcels if they wanted. And with that, that means as big as Decentraland is, we could have our MMO, which I would love to expand across all of Decentraland. And they've made portals to where even through the client, you can type in like dot or forward slash go to and then name a world, and it'll bring you to that world for whoever that is. So if we wanted Exodus, we could have like go to forward slash Exodus, and it would push you to our game. We have not developed onto that world yet, but it is something that we've looked into and are testing.
okay. So you only need one parcel, and you
Just a
can
name, actually.
oh, so you don't
Yeah.
even
Right,
interesting.
which is crazy because we had a huge debacle over, okay, now land's valueless. But the thing is, you have mainland and then you have other lands. And the mainland's going to be important because when someone logs in, that's where they're going.
Hmm.
So if you have a place there, it's going to be seen, especially if it's more of a mass adoption thing. And you'll have, in a sense, your own advertisement. By having your own land, they could either have like a taste of your product or whatever it is, or, you know, an experience for the product, let's say, and then that could potentially sell them on it. Otherwise, our other options is to like market to them on other channels to show them how to get to your world, which is still a barrier. It'd be nice that if the client, you could just like drop yourself straight into your world like we did through Sandbox. Decentraland doesn't have that. You got to kind of either go find it, or you can put it into the browser. But for people who like the client, it's the browser's not that great. The client is a much preferred option. And if we could just drop users wherever we wanted through the client, that would be very beneficial. Sandbox did that right.
Yeah, I do like that feature of like basically just being able to travel wherever you want,
Hmm.
and drop in wherever you want as long as you can find it on the map or search for it. Is there a way that we could check out the game that you guys have going on? Like, is that
Yeah.
is
Oh,
is
for
that a
sure.
I
100%.
I have the I
Do you have
have
the client?
I have the client, I want to
Oh, good.
say. I was
Yeah.
messing because I think this would be a great time to do. Well, okay, this would be a great time for two different things. First, because we've already gone about an hour and 20, I'm going to drop the attendance form into the chat, so you guys can fill this form out and control copy. Fill this form out that's going into the chat here, and that will, I'm going to say this is going to qualify you for the giveaways that we're going to do. And then one of the giveaways will end up for the leaderboard. I don't know which is what, but I'll decide that here in a second. But fill out this form that I dropped in the chat, and the secret word in the form is going to be Exodus, EXODUS. You can spell it wrong if you end up spelling it wrong. And maybe I spelled it wrong. But Exodus is the secret word. So go ahead and fill that out. And basically, that's proving that you were here live, because you got to be here live to win any of the prizes that we give away. And then after we go explore Exodus in Decentraland, I'll show you what game we can play if you guys want to participate in the play to earn side of the show. But I'm going to try and figure out where the heck my Decentraland went so that I can get it pulled up.
Search
here.
bar. I always use a search bar. I don't have any applications that I know where are.
That's probably actually what I should
That's
do
what I
with
do
my
on my.
life.
That's what I do on my
But
phone too.
I was gonna say that's how I use my phone. I don't know why I don't use
Search for everything.
search for everything, but continue with your wallet. Let's see if this works.
Yeah. You may. There's a couple options to log in. One, you can just scan it with your mobile, or if you have the Infinity Wallet, you can log in through that.
Where did it go? It was thinking there for a second.
Where are your
It's
applications?
still
There it is.
thinking. There we go. All right, we're booting up. Sweet. I'm glad I did this before. I logged in before, so it looks like it still remembers me. And I threw on.
Look at you.
I threw on your. Wait, what's going on? I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm trying to use my remote, or my controller, but
oh, you
I
can
don't
do.
know.
You should.
I
Be
don't know
able
if I have. I don't know if I have the buttons routed quite correctly for this. It's set up for
Yeah.
Sandbox, but I'll just use my keyboard. But yeah, look at that.
Yeah, that was a collaboration item with a waifu. It's a guy named Aaron Loop, really cool guy.
Yeah, it looks awesome. So this the skin, I think we're gonna go with the skin as one of the prizes for the leaderboard, and then the other items that we have to give away, a couple wings, one of the wings that we're wearing right now. What else do we have? I could pull up the tweet that I sent out.
An emote, and yeah, you have Omni Wings, Queen Wings, Lady Gallowan, and a floss emote.
Let me just so you guys can see what you're signing up to win before you sign up. Maybe this will lure you in. But yeah, we got a flossy emote, the Lady Gallowin skin, Queen's Wings, Omni Wings, and then a poison extractor from the show previous to yours that we did this morning is also going to be included in on the giveaways. So make sure you fill out that form, and you'll have a chance to win some of these awesome wearables for Decentraland and an emote, and then the poison extractor for Sandbox Land. Now let's get back into here. Okay. So what do I do?
So if you can either click on the map or you can use a shortcut. Let's use the shortcut. If you hit enter and then type /go to and then space one word, go to, sorry.
Go to.
And then 126, 48. There you go. Okay, don't move yet. Wait until it loads in. It's very finicky about that. For anyone who does load in, if you don't sit here until it completely loads in, there's a chance it'll disrupt the loading and you won't be able to, you'll have to refresh for it to work properly. But anyways, it looks like it's loaded in now. So you just run around.
Sweet. Okay. Hodl. The secret word for today is Exodus. EXODUS.
Yeah. So let's see, what do you want to know first? You probably want to know how to play first, right?
Yeah.
So this process, we're working on a tutorial, so don't hate the way it is now. You need to run, go follow this path until you get to a fishing dock, or no, the other way. Oh no, stop, turn around. Sorry. Not that. Go back to where you were when you dead ended on this road. There you go. Now on the ground, there's a scavenger hunt location. If you click it, you'll earn something. What will you get? You got currency. So if you open your backpack on the right by right clicking and then go move your mouse over to the backpack, click on it. You can see now that you have 35 currency.
Okay.
It's not crypto yet, but it's coming. And it's not meant to be a hype token either. It's solely for the purpose of the game. We're not going to try to pump a token. We have some really cool ideas for that and the way it'll be implemented into the game. Not to be disclosed right now, though.
Nice.
But anyways, if you go
shake and bake, I saw you in the chat.
Look at him stacked on his purple party hat.
Nice. All right, so where are we heading now?
So there's a dock behind you. All right, go to the dock over there to the right. Talk to that NPC. His name is Finn. He'll give you a fishing pole.
All right, Finn. Waters are full of gold shimmer today. I can feel it's going to be an auspicious fishing day. Yes. Use this rod. Okay. I'm the worst at reading, by the way.
No, that's all right.
I read like 4 words and I'm like, all right, get it.
Yeah, so
it gets me into trouble a lot of times where I'm like, okay, now what am I supposed to do?
Yeah. If you right click again and open the backpack, you can click on the fishing rod and equip it. And then you can click, there's a scavenger hunt location somewhere near you. It shows a description right there. There you go. There's 10 spots. They reset every day, or you can just redeem them on the scavenger hunt. But go click on the fish and find one that you can fish with your current level. You can hit V and it'll zoom you in and make things significantly easier to click on.
Ooh, nice. Let's equip a level 40 rod, level 70, level 1. I bet we can get him.
That's the one. Yeah, so the fishing pole comes out, and then you just wait there and it catches fish. Fishing is just like in real life, pretty slow. It's more relaxing and not like super interactive. But it is a really neat skill to have. It's our second skill we released.
And the skills you can level up the skills.
That's right. Yeah, if you go on the stars icon over to your right under the backpack, that will show you. If you click on fishing, you'll see that you have some XP, the hook. Yeah, so you see you have 17, and you're going to level up in 34 XP to level 2.
Oh, and it just, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So that, like, whenever you do the activity, that's when you get the.
That's right. And
That's
we
sweet.
have the NPC gave like business related material for a description. We have a business event going on that we made a collaboration with a group in Decentraland that is business oriented and teaches. They try to onboard people into Decentraland in a business way. Um, it's called Beaver. Excuse me. It's called Beaverse, and we're hosting an event with them where if you come, if you complete the event, you'll earn a briefcase, and it's just a collaboration item that's there's a specific amount of supply that can be earned from it, and then it'll be gone out of Exodus as a discontinued item.
Okay, nice. Is it that briefcase?
That's right. And if you hold it, you actually get double the bars. You probably saw, you just saw bullion bars or bullion bars. And then if you go to some other NPCs, they'll give you tools as well. There's Hopper. If you go back toward the other side behind you, go toward Finn where you were, and then jump over him to the right. And there's an NPC right there. He gives a hatchet, and then you can equip that to chop trees, and that'll get you
Gotcha.
logs.
Nice. I mean, I gotta say, this is way more in depth than anything else I've played inside of Decentraland. So this is super cool.
Yeah. Well, and one thing we talked about earlier was about development and how it feels like people, our sandbox, are, and anybody's perspective, the platform they're using is not listening. And that can be the case. Hopefully it's not. But one thing that we run into a lot is visual aspects of the platform. They You don't see what people come in when they see it. They see visuals. They don't
Hmm.
really understand the fundamentals, the programming, and everything that takes place during something like a hatchet hitting the tree. There's a lot that goes into there. There's security features. There is measures that are put in there to make it so you don't get too many more logs, and they don't overfill the inventory. And what happens when you can't chop any more trees? And there's just so many, like, if this happens, what happens next? Tons of code. Shoot, I don't know. I think we have somewhere between 15 and 20,000 lines of code right now, and nobody sees that. But when you
Hmm.
play, you get that experience. So in the alpha stage of the game, which actually you can light the fire pit and cook a fish, click on a sycamore log in your inventory, or just click on a log. Yeah. Select at the bottom and then click the fish. There's a 50-50 shot you're going to burn one. So you shouldn't burn both of them, but let's see what happens.
All
As you
right.
level up, you don't burn as many fish.
Well, let's see what happens. Am I a good chef?
You are. Let's go. So, anyways, that's how you cook an item, which is pretty cool. You figure that out pretty quick. You'll need food for people who are playing. They'll need food this weekend when we release combat, which, being a completely public, open alpha game, it has its flaws, but also people get to play and enjoy it. While also, they're just, some people might like, okay, we really haven't visual, like, we got a big complaint over the scene and how, what the appearance of it is, and we definitely need to increase um, the artwork around it and make it look better. I'm not going to disagree with that, but overall, what our main focus has been on functionality and programming it over the visuals. But I mean, the trees, I think the trees look good. I think the grass looks, it's not like, it's not tall, there's no like animations, animations to it, but overall the scene is decent. But we find it more important to create functionality over if that tree's going to look better or not, or if the grass will look better, or what the corners are going to look like. And in the alpha stage, when we move to beta, that's going to be more like, we have our base mechanics created. Now you should start to see visual enhancements throughout that period that I think will make people significantly uh, happier with it, because visuals are a big deal. But if people can't enjoy the game, it doesn't matter what it looks like. Oh, I can't hear you. Yeah, it shows you're muted. It shows you're muted on the screen. I don't know if that's in the settings or if that's, yeah, I don't know. Well, here we are.
There we go.
There it is. It's back.
I don't know if you realized, but
I
couldn't hear.
saw it eventually. I don't know how much I said before you stopped hearing me.
No, that was good. It was good that you were talking because I couldn't hear anything, so I didn't know if what was going on. But we're back, so that's
Yeah.
all that matters. My audio like router thing lost power somehow. I don't know why, but so everything stopped.
Gotcha.
But we're back. What did I miss?
I was just explaining that the visual aspects are mechanics and functionality is a higher priority than visual aspects currently. Although we're still working on visual aspects because we have artists. But once we go from alpha, which is base mechanics and functionality, we're going to move toward beta, where we'll see a lot more user experience increases throughout the game itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I feel like obviously the visual aspects are important, but I feel like to have a successful game, a successful metaverse, whatever, it needs way more than just to be visually appealing. Like it needs to be fulfilling for one. Like it needs to have some sort of like reason why you're there, even if the graphics suck. If you enjoy why you're there, like that can go a super long way.
Yeah.
So I think like focusing, like you said, on the mechanics is probably a good thing to iron out before you really worry too much about graphics, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of great artists in Decentraland. They make a lot of cool props, but they're not functional. And you just have to have that. But something that I, when it comes to game graphics, I think that it's important that the player knows what they're getting into before they start, so they have an expectation. When you go into Minecraft, you're not looking for this nice detailed out 100 triangle 10 texture material clothing for your character. It's just you're not expecting that. When you get on your phone and you start playing, if you're playing Clash of Clans, you're not expecting a 3D platform. It's 2D, and you have your clans that you deal with. And please help me, I haven't played forever.
Neither have I. It's been a long time.
Yeah, well, you have your area, your city that you're doing, and Candy Crush, you got flashy lights and colorful stuff. That's that the user experience and their expectations are the most important to make sure that they know what they're getting into. And I think that one thing that needs to change, I mean, we're limited to a lot of things of Decentraland and how well we can make things look. But when you think about the metaverse, you're thinking goggles, 3D, super awesome graphics. And we're still really far away from that in Decentraland because it takes so much computing and the way that all the scenes are set up and operating on um, one overall scene. It's kind of odd because you're in a scene and you're creating a scene inside of a scene. So
Mhm.
there's barriers and limitations to that. But as you kind of get over those and technology goes and advances, those things will be overcome. Um, but Shake and Bake Gas, are you still logged into Decentraland? He wants, or I mean, I want you to look at the bank. He
Oh
finds it
yeah,
pretty cool to store items.
yeah.
I do too.
I am still logged in. I need to present my screen again. Shake and bake. I see you in the chat.
Yeah, he is. He's awesome. That's all. I mean, I really like him. We talk a whole lot. He's
Nice.
great. He plays. He's great with ideas. He's great with feedback. Everything we need. If you want, he's a good friend.
Hell yeah. I love meeting new friends in the metaverse. So definitely
So
glad to meet you, Shake.
if you go through the plaza over there, like go straight through this, and then at the end take a right, yeah, and where it says Meta Money, that coin. If you click on the banker, she will open your bank up, and then you can deposit items in there. Yeah, the
Okay.
right click is always something.
Yeah, it catches me. But
Yeah, so you can deposit one or deposit all. If you had deposit all, everything will just go over. Yeah, and then you can
oh,
withdraw an item
nice.
if you want. Or
What's
yeah,
this? Oh,
that's
scavenger hunt token.
wait. You got two of those? Dang, those are
Rigged.
1 in 500 drop. They shouldn't. You shouldn't have gotten two that fast, but you did. So it should. That's one in a. I mean, you made. You have three, four. You had 4 logs. You had 2 fish. It's 4, 5, 6. I mean, you might have made less than 15 actions, and it's 1 in 1,000. So
Hey, I got luck on my side. I must have
you sure do.
I got this lucky catfish with me. Um
Yeah, and you didn't burn the thing.
yeah,
I mean, so that's cool.
crushing it. Where did my axe go? Or is it equipped?
You have it
Equipped.
equipped.
Ah,
Yeah.
gotcha.
But anyways, there's you don't need to go any further in this, but that I mean, unless you want to play, but overall, you can. We want the whole game to be player run economics, where if a resource comes in the game, it's to a player. We're not trying to sell people resources. We're not trying to make a pay to win game. We want it to be player driven. And we have
Mhm.
gotten feedback of people that are like, I would like to level up quicker. Can I pay for it? It's hard as a company to say no, don't pay me.
Right.
But it's also just like, what is the goal of the game? Do you
Mhm.
want someone to shove thousands of dollars down the game to advance in levels, or do you not want them to do that and play the game in a different way? I mean, I want to stay away from pay to win. Um, but I know that it's a very profitable method, but I feel like it just breaks the overall game experience for those that do put a lot of time and effort over spending every dollar they get in it.
Yeah, I definitely understand why there's a negative connotation around pay to win. Um and I think it also can be harmful for a game, right? Like, but at the same time, I don't know, like what if if there's both options, but I guess then it's hard to like level the playing field because there's definitely going to be people that don't want to pay, that want to be able
Hmm.
to compete. So I guess that's where the negative
Yeah.
connotation comes in, I suppose. I've never really thought too much about it, to be honest, but I know that there's a lot of negative
Yeah.
sentiment around it.
It,
Um,
it's been it's been on my brain a lot, and several of us. It's all about the way that's being presented to the user. If you're not misleading the user and they know that there's pay to win and potentially they might need to pay money, and they know that going in, I don't think it's a problem, and I don't think you'll lose a user because of it. If you tell them it's going to stay away from the pay to win aspect and then you start throwing in pay to win options, the users that originally had that are going to be very disappointed, or some of them might not care. But you want the user expectation to be constantly met. And one thing that is, it may not be completely not pay to win, but I think that there is an alternative to that where the users that are playing will receive, they'll be able to receive benefits. Oh, that was a while back. They'll be able to receive benefits through someone else making a purchase. So, what that could look like is maybe they earn some items in the game and they're on chain and then go sell them to somebody else, which technically the opposite side of end of that could pay to win in a sense, but they are not paying the company. They're paying someone that says, hey, I went and
mm,
played the game, I grinded it out, I can sell this to you, and it's on my own free will and conscience to do that, and I wanted to do that for whatever reason. I think that that's completely different, and the user expectation for this game should be that they'll have NFTs. They'll be able to transact with each other, and going in, they'll know that. But then the items that will be sold or earned through membership or things like that won't give a huge they either won't give any bonus or any massive advantage toward owning them. Generally, it will be more cosmetic or
Mhm.
animations related or skins or things that visually change and everyone can see that they have it, potentially be more rare items or things they earn while they play. And they have or in a sense a resale value on that because it's NFT. If it costs someone $5 to buy it or 10 or 20 or 100, um, there's if as long as someone else wants it, that that has a value that they can get from that, and it's not going to be okay. This game company sold you 10 levels to hurry up and boost up. So that's where we want to go with it. If anything changes, where well, the company needs revenue to operate, obviously, but when it comes down to that, that is the preferred option, and I think many of our players will want to continue that route of things because they want to. It's not meant to be play to earn. Um, it's it's more of just like, okay, we have Web 2 games where you're not allowed to transact out of it, and now we have Web 3 games where you can transact out of it. Users that play, like someone who played World of Warcraft or RuneScape for 10 years or 15 or 20, they have potentially valuable things on there that they could transact with, and new users that couldn't get those discontinued items back then can easily obtain those through as an NFT through other players, things like that.
Yeah. No, I really like the way you put it, that um you you can, like, the players are able to sell stuff that they put in time to get. That's not how you said it. You said it way more eloquently than that. But that's the gist of it. That, like, if you grind, you can then go turn around and sell your stuff. And I think that makes sense. That like, at least in my head, that as long
Hmm.
as somebody is putting in the time to get the items, then I don't think it should really matter
Right.
if somebody else is buying it from them, because I mean that's been going on forever. Like, people have always people have always been doing that. It just
Right.
it isn't front and center, like on a centralized or decentralized marketplace. It's under the table, black market, whatever you want to call
Depends
it.
on the game. It's black market. Like RuneScape, it's complete black market.
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
but it's just I don't think anybody would consider it pay to win if you can purchase an item from somebody else. It's just different. I mean, technically you can pay to win, but I don't think most people see it that way.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I don't either. At
it's
least.
really cool though. I mean, we have this whole idea in our head. We want to make it work. It's been a year, and we still have 5 years that we got to put into this game to make it even remotely close to where we want it, including like an exchange where people can go buy and sell items, and also have just all these awesome features that allow someone to have a AAA status game that they can play and add PvP aspects into it, and potentially even stake items, not in the sense of Web 3, but in the sense of if I have a sword and you have a sword, and we think that we are going to, we both put them up, and one person over the other one thinks they're going to win, or they both think they're going to win, but one of them loses, the other one gets his stuff.
Hmm.
I, I like that idea. I think that people should have that. And that's something we want to implement. And also like PvP, but it's not with like um, in a Call of Duty game, you kill somebody, you can get their gun. And then after the match is over, you're done. You got to restart. And
Right.
this game is if you're in a PvP area, and when we add this anyway, and you kill somebody, you're going to get whatever they have in their inventory. And now it's very risky to do that because you can't go reobtain it without either buying. You have to go reobtain whatever you lost.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. No, that I just had a guy from Jackie.eth on talking about Another World, which is another platform that he's building. And I was telling him this, that I love the concept of, like, that like maybe like hardcore mode, basically, where if you die in whatever area, you lose all your stuff and people can go pick it up. Like I love
Yes.
that, and I think a lot of people do, and
Uh-huh.
I
We're,
and
we're
I
working on that.
hell yeah, that's
Yes.
awesome.
You can
Because
drop
I
items on the ground, actually. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But
no
I'm
no.
just excited to tell you that we are definitely doing that. And I love the idea too. 'Cause people need to be incentivized not to die.
Hmm.
And if all their stuff gets dropped on the ground, and it's also some people that just campers, they're just like, I can't wait till there's an enemy that people have struggled to kill and they die and you can pick their stuff up.
Yeah.
So yeah. But anyways, go ahead. You were
No,
talking to
no.
somebody
I
and
mean, that's
that was
just
something.
that's what I've just been. I think ever since like watching it kind of play out in Ready Player One,
Mhm.
that's kind of like just been ingrained in my mind that I want to play a game that is not, maybe it doesn't have to be the core concept, but it
Mhm.
is like a part of it where like if you die, you lose all your stuff and you have to
Right.
go find more stuff, and whoever killed you or whoever found you dead got,
They get to
got
loot you.
got all your stuff. So yeah,
That's
I love
right.
that concept, and that I guess that's where like the bank would come into play, where you put your stuff that you don't want to be losing into the bank until you
Yes.
really need to use it, and then hopefully somebody doesn't kill you or you don't go into a PvP area with it or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, no, that's super cool. I'm excited to hear that you guys are working towards that. Is there I I think you said earlier that you guys are releasing an update that's PvP related. I'm
No,
guessing it's not that.
not yet. We're working on the multiplayer aspect, specifically right now with pets, and that just mean and that just means that when I get a pet or obtain a pet and I equip it, everyone else can see that pet.
Mm,
And
gotcha.
we'll also be adding features like when you're fishing, no one else could see your fishing rod at that moment. Everybody will eventually be able to see your fishing rod as you fish and actually hold the item. You may not have noticed that you aren't holding it because you're in first person. But those things are coming. And once we add those simple mechanics of multiplayer um, options, we can go to more advanced levels of, you know, people being able to fight each other. Uh, I think it's really important, but we also have to be very careful, especially for someone who's played a long time. And if there's a fault in the system and someone's able to either bug it or maybe an error on our end and people lose valuable resources or items that they shouldn't have, that's going to be on us. So we have to be very careful when we release that and let our users know that it's being tested. And you should be very careful if you're going to interact with PvP.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah, definitely. That makes sense. Well, dude, this has been awesome. It's getting to kind of the point where we should probably be wrapping it up for now, but I
yeah.
definitely think we'll have to have you back on the show here in the future whenever you got more stuff going on that you want to come and update people about, because I'm super excited to kind of see this play out and get
Mhm.
built out. Like I was saying, I haven't really played anything in Decentraland that has piqued my interest, but this is definitely one of those experiences that I finally found that I'm like, okay, so there is a potential to Decentraland more than what I've been exposed to. So that's super
Yeah.
cool to see, and hopefully everyone that's watching this has kind of seen that as well. That there is some cool stuff going on over there, and um,
Deep down in the shadows, there's development.
yeah, and I think it's really easy to get kind of tunnel vision and honed in on whatever platform you're most excited about, but that's what I've tried to be good at, is really just keeping my eyes open to everything that's going on, and being interested in exploring it, and that's where this show has really helped out, where it's just like,
Mhm.
okay, there's somebody doing something cool that looks cool in Decentraland. I want to talk to that person and figure out why they think it's cool, which is
Right.
exactly how this conversation spun up. Is I think you said it earlier. I don't remember the exact tweet, but something about how Decentraland is the most advanced or something platform. And when I read that one, I was like, that was good, as far as like hook goes on on social media.
Yeah,
Social
I
media.
hate social media so much,
But
but
hey,
it's needed. So
yeah, definitely, and it worked. It caught my attention, and I was like, somebody thinks that about the Decentraland, and I
what
was
is
like,
wrong with them?
I was like, I was like, I haven't looked at the Decentraland in like a year at least. And I was like,
Yeah.
maybe it really has changed. So I'm glad that we got to this, and this is what we're doing now, and we got to kind of figure out what you guys are all up to. So I'm gonna give you I want to give you the stage here just one last time to plug whatever you want to plug, where people can find it, how they can support you, all that fun stuff, and then I will run people through how they can participate if they want to hop into the sandbox and play a game here real quick to have a chance at winning some of those prizes, and then we'll wrap her up.
Okay. I can be found on Twitter, at JTV with 4 underscores after it. Um, I am in Decentraland as JTV. I also own the name JTV.eth. I will keep that as long as possible. It's very expensive to keep. The 3-letter domains are
Yeah,
600 a
three-letter
year.
domains. Yeah.
Yeah, but I got it and I was like, I'm keeping it as mine. I'm mainly on Twitter, but if you wanted to follow the game itself at Exodus GBW, and it's at Exodus GBW on all platforms: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook. I think you can pick any username there, but also if you look up Exodus Goodbye World on Google now, I've worked without SEO, which our website's been developed there. But if you search Exodus Goodbye World, there's plenty of information about the game, including articles that have been written from Cointelegraph, Dow Times, and some other odd and end articles that you probably hadn't heard about, or news stations.
Nice.
But anyways, Discord. How would you find my Discord? That's terrible. It used to be JTV, but I was tired of paying $50 a month for that. Can I share the link with you right here on our private chat?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll drop it in. I'll drop it in the chat, and I'll also have links to in the replay in the description. If you guys are catching the replay, that's where obviously you'll be able to find those.
Okay. Let's see. Copy link here. Yeah, I haven't really been pushing Discord, but we do try to keep it interactive, and any questions and bug reports and things like that, we're always looking at those. Let's see here. Never copy. Yeah, here's the link right here.
Perfect. But
anyways, I think that's it. I'm mainly on Twitter. I probably ought to move to other platforms, but I have my hands full in. This is the last thing I'm going to say, but Twitter is, I hate, what do you call it? Something farming.
Engagement farming?
Yeah, I hate engagement farming. But if you're on social media and you want people to look at stuff, you have to engagement farm.
Yeah.
And people call you out on it, but it's just like, dude, this is the way it works. Sorry that you don't like that I'm saying stuff that's controversial specifically just so people engage with it. But anyways, so I mean, it's most tweets are either informational or engagement tweets, and that's the extent of it. I wouldn't say it's my complete personality, but it's what I do. So
yeah, no, that's the name of the game. I mean, otherwise you're just putting tweets and content out there that no one's looking at. So you gotta find some way to get people's attention. And I think controversial stuff is usually the way.
Unfortunately, it is.
Yeah.
And the thing is people act like you took somebody's side, and you're just like, which one's better, this or this? And they're like, it's like they think I've decided the answer. Sometimes, like I didn't. I just brought it forward, and I wanted people to interact with it.
I just want people to debate and engage.
That's unfortunately the way Twitter works.
Yeah, exactly. Well, dude, like I said, this has been awesome. So I appreciate you coming on.
But anyways, it's 9:15 here. I never caught where you were from, if you don't mind sharing.
Oh yeah,
Curiosity.
I'm in Austin, Texas. So
That's where the server. No,
I
Dallas
know.
is the server. Maybe it's
Oh, you
Austin.
you you
It's
did say
one or the other.
Austin. It,
It's
it could
Austin. Okay.
perk my.
Oh, you
I
ought
don't
to be
know.
sitting on a server over there.
I probably am. I don't even know.
Yeah, but anyways, it was really good talking with you. Um, I have family that lives in Houston, and I visit there every now and then. Austin's pretty far away from Houston, though. So as far as the drive, but if
Yeah.
I'm ever in Texas, I'll maybe hit you up. We can hang out or something.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm actually going to be traveling all over the place here for a little while, but definitely hit me up. Who knows where I'll be? But
Right.
if I am in Texas, I would love to meet up for sure.
That's
But yeah,
cool.
it was great chatting, dude. And like I said, I look forward to everything you're doing.